The distress beacon blinked weakly against the infinite black, a tiny pulse of desperate hope that most ships would have ignored. But Ambassador Vrix was not most captains, and the luxury diplomatic vessel Harmony's Promise was not on any particular schedule that couldn't accommodate a minor detour. Besides, ignoring distress signals was illegal in 17 different star systems, and Vrix had built his entire career on following every regulation down to the smallest subsection. "Pull it in," he ordered, his three-fingered hand gesturing toward the viewport where the escape pod tumbled slowly through space. Carefully, though. That hull looks like it took a beating. The tractor beam operator, a young Caltharian named Foss, nodded nervously and activated the systems. The beam locked onto the pod, and within minutes, it was secured in the cargo bay. Vrix made his way down through the pristine corridors of his ship, admiring, as he always did, the soft blue lighting that mimicked his homeworld's twin suns. Everything aboard was designed for comfort and safety. Padded corners, cushioned floors, environmental controls that kept the temperature at a pleasant level for their delicate constitutions. He arrived at the cargo bay, just as the airlock finished cycling. Dr. Plynn stood nearby with a medical kit, his long neck craning forward with concern. The security officer, Bront, flanked the other side, though his idea of security was more about filing incident reports than actual physical confrontation. Caltharians weren't built for violence. Their bones were hollow, their bodies adapted for a low-gravity world covered in vast plains of soft vegetation. The escape pod's hatch hissed open with a cloud of stale air. Inside sat a creature so small, so apparently fragile, that Vrix's immediate instinct was paternal concern. She couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall. Her body was covered in what appeared to be some kind of ceremonial garment, blue and white, torn at the edges and stained with what might have been dried blood. Dark hair fell around a face that was startlingly expressive, with 2 forward-facing eyes that locked onto the Caltharians with an intensity that made Vrix slightly uncomfortable. Those eyes were wet, glistening with moisture. "Please," she said, her voice cracking. "Please help me. They killed everyone. I barely got away." The translator implant in Vrix's auditory canal processed her language instantly. Human. Standard Earth dialect. His secondary heart skipped a beat. "You're human," Dr. Plynn said, stating the obvious in that way medical professionals often did when surprised. The girl nodded, wiping at her eyes with a small hand. "My name is Luna. Our transport was attacked by pirates near the Gallo Nebula. I hid in the maintenance shaft until I could reach the escape pod. I've been drifting for, I don't know how long, days maybe." The chronometer stopped working. She tried to stand, wobbled, and nearly collapsed. Bront surged forward to catch her, his own lanky frame barely managing to support her weight. Which was odd, actually, because she looked like she weighed almost nothing. "Easy, young one," Vrix said, switching to his most soothing diplomatic tone. "You're safe now. We'll get you fed, cleaned up, and contact your people immediately." Luna looked up at him with those unsettling forward-facing eyes. Predator's eyes, some distant part of his brain whispered, and smiled weakly. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I thought I was going to die out there." Dr. Plynn scanned her with a handheld medical device, frowning at the readings. Minor dehydration, some bruising. Overall, remarkably healthy considering the circumstances. "Can you walk?" "I think so," Luna said, though she leaned heavily on Bront as they made their way toward the medical bay. Vrix watched them go, then turned to examine the escape pod more closely. The hull was indeed damaged, scarred with what looked like weapons fire. Carbon scoring along the sides, a jagged tear near the propulsion unit. Her story checked out, at least superficially. Still, something nagged at him. Humans were from a restricted world. Category 10 Deathworld, if he remembered correctly. The Galactic Council had very specific protocols about contact with species from such extreme environments. But those protocols were based on the assumption that humans were dangerous, violent, aggressive. This girl? She looked like she might blow away in a strong breeze. He pulled out his datapad and began composing a message to the nearest council station. They'd want to know about this. In the medical bay, Luna sat obediently on the examination table while Dr. Plynn fussed over her with instruments that beeped and hummed. She answered his questions politely, describing her journey from Earth's education colony on Tranquility Station, the sudden attack, the screaming, the chaos. "Were you injured during the attack?" Plynn asked, his large eyes filled with concern. Luna held up her arm, showing him a long scratch along her forearm. "Just this. I scraped it climbing through the maintenance shaft. It was really narrow." Plynn applied a healing gel that would have closed a Caltharian wound in a few hours. "Keep that covered. And rest, please. Your body has been through significant trauma." "I will," Luna promised, her voice small and tired. "Do you have any food? I'm really, really hungry. I haven't eaten since before the attack." Bront, who had been standing guard by the door, perked up. "Oh, of course. I'll get you something from the galley. We have plenty of provisions. What do humans eat? Vegetation? Fruits?" Luna hesitated, and for just a moment, something flickered across her face, something that might have been amusement. But it vanished so quickly that Bront wondered if he'd imagined it. I'm not picky," she said. "Whatever you have is fine." Bront hurried off, leaving Luna alone with the doctor. Plynn continued his examination, muttering to himself about bone density readings that seemed impossibly high. Must be a calibration error, he decided. The equipment wasn't designed for human physiology. "Doctor?" Luna asked softly. "How long until we reach a station where I can contact my family? They must be so worried." Plynn's expression softened. Poor child. Alone, frightened, separated from her pack. 3 days to the nearest major hub. But don't worry. You're safe here. The Harmony's Promise is a diplomatic vessel. Nothing bad happens on ships like this. Luna smiled at him, and her teeth were very, very white. "That's good to know. Thank you for being so kind." Bront returned with a tray of food, standard Caltharian fare. Soft vegetables, protein paste, some fruit that looked like purple spheres. Luna looked at it, looked at Bront, and her stomach made a sound like a small engine growling. "Sorry," she said, actually blushing. "I'm really hungry." She ate everything on the tray. Then she asked for more, and more. By the 4th tray, Bront was starting to worry about the food budget, but he couldn't deny a hungry refugee, especially one so polite about it. "You have quite an appetite," Dr. Plynn observed, making notes on his datapad. Luna wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "Sorry, I metabolize quickly. It's a human thing. We need a lot of calories to keep going." That, at least, made sense to Plynn. She was from a high-gravity world. Her body probably burned energy at an extraordinary rate just to move around. He updated his medical notes accordingly. After she finished eating, they showed her to the guest quarters. A small but comfortable room with a bed designed for visiting dignitaries. Luna looked around with apparent wonder, touching the soft walls, testing the mattress. "This is amazing," she breathed. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Vrix, who had arrived to check on their guest, felt his concerns melting away. She was just a child. A frightened, grateful child who'd survived something horrible. Yes, humans were from a death world. But that didn't make them all dangerous. That would be prejudice, and prejudice had no place in diplomatic service. "Rest well, Luna," he said. "Tomorrow we'll start the process of getting you home." Luna nodded, climbed into the bed, and pulled the covers up to her chin. She looked even smaller like that, dwarfed by the oversized furniture. The three Caltharians left, the doors sealing behind them with a soft hiss. In the hallway, Bront let out a relieved breath. Poor thing. Can you imagine being that alone? That's scared. "She's remarkably resilient," Plynn said. "Her vital signs are strong. No signs of psychological trauma, which is unusual, but perhaps humans process fear differently." Vrix nodded, already thinking about the commendations he'd receive for this rescue. "Let's maintain standard watch rotations. And someone should monitor the distress channels in case there are other survivors from her transport." They dispersed to their various duties, confident in their kindness, proud of their compassion. Behind the sealed door, Luna waited until she heard their footsteps fade. Then she sat up in bed, and the scared expression melted off her face like a mask being removed. She examined the scratch on her forearm. It had already stopped bleeding, the edges beginning to knit together. By morning, there wouldn't even be a scar. Luna lay back down, staring at the ceiling, calculating. 3 days to a major hub, 3 days to figure out her next move. The pirates would be tracking the escape pod signature. They'd come. They always came. And when they did, well, these kind, fragile aliens were about to learn what evolution on Earth actually meant. But for now, she'd play the part they expected. Small, weak, helpless. It was, after all, what she did best. The first incident happened during breakfast. Luna had wandered into the galley, where most of the crew took their morning meal, still wearing the oversized sleeping garment they'd provided. She looked rumpled, young, harmless. Bront waved her over enthusiastically, gesturing to the seat beside him. "Good morning. How did you sleep?" "Really well, actually," Luna said, sliding into the chair with a grace that seemed at odds with her supposed exhaustion. "Best sleep I've had in weeks." Foss, the tractor beam operator, pushed a tray toward her. Standard morning rations, soft grain paste, vitamin supplements, hydration gel. Luna looked at it, then looked around the galley. "Do you have anything else?" she asked. "Like meat? Protein?" The entire table went quiet. "Meat?" Foss repeated, his voice pitching higher. "You mean animal tissue?" Luna blinked at him. "Yeah, I'm an omnivore. I need protein to function properly." Dr. Plynn, sitting across the table with his own morning supplements, cleared his throat awkwardly. "We have emergency rations in storage for carnivorous species. But those are, well, they're not meant for general consumption. The protein chains are quite aggressive. They can cause severe digestive distress in most civilized species." "Can I try them?" Luna asked, her tone perfectly innocent. "I'm really, really hungry. Yesterday's food was nice, but I'm still feeling weak." Bront exchanged glances with Plynn, who shrugged helplessly. "I suppose it wouldn't hurt to let her try. If she's genuinely omnivorous, her system might handle it." 5 minutes later, Luna was tearing into a ration pack that made the Caltharians collectively queasy just to look at. Dense protein blocks, preserved in a solution that smelled vaguely of sulfur. She ate 3 packs while the crew watched in horrified fascination. "Delicious," she said, licking her fingers. "Do you have more?" The second incident happened that afternoon. Dr. Plynn had asked Luna to return to the medical bay for a follow-up examination. He wanted to ensure the scratch on her arm was healing properly. When she arrived and rolled up her sleeve, the wound was gone. Completely. Not even a scar remained on the smooth skin. Plynn stared at his medical scanner, then at her arm, then back at the scanner. This is impossible. That wound was deep enough to require tissue bonding. You should have a mark for at least a week. Luna examined her arm with apparent surprise. Oh, yeah, we heal fast. Humans, I mean. It's normal for us. Normal? Plynn repeated faintly. He began running more detailed scans, and with each result, his concern deepened. Her bone density was off the charts. Her muscle fiber composition showed redundancy that shouldn't exist. Her cardiovascular system included what appeared to be backup pathways. Luna, he said slowly, what exactly is Earth like? Your homeworld? She thought about it, tilting her head. Hot, cold, wet, dry. Depends where you are, really. Lots of weather. Lots of things that want to eat you. We're pretty adaptable. Things that want to eat you, Plynn echoed, feeling faint. Well, yeah, predators. We've got big cats, bears, sharks, venomous snakes, spiders, jellyfish, crocodiles, wolves. She counted on her fingers. Oh, and smaller things too. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. Earth is kind of intense, I guess. Plynn saved all the scan data and made a mental note to research Earth more thoroughly. This was becoming concerning. The third incident happened that evening, and it was the one that truly frightened them. Bront had been feeling guilty about Luna being cooped up on the ship, so he'd suggested some light recreation in the common area. Perhaps a game? Something to keep her spirits up? We could try grip strength testing, he offered cheerfully. It's a game we play sometimes. Very casual, very fun. I'll let you win to make you feel better. Luna's eyes lit up. Arm wrestling, sure? They sat opposite each other, clasped hands. Bront was tall for a Caltharian, nearly 6 feet, and considered himself reasonably fit. Luna's hand disappeared in his grip. On 3, Foss said, acting as referee. 1, 2, 3. Bront pushed. Luna's arm didn't budge. He pushed harder. Putting real effort into it now, his pride slightly stung. Her arm remained perfectly vertical, locked in place. Then Luna smiled, just a little, and pushed back. The snap of Bront's wrist breaking echoed through the common area like a gunshot. Bront's screams brought half the crew running. Dr. Plynn arrived within seconds, his medical kit already open, his hands shaking as he administered pain blockers and began the delicate process of setting the fracture. Luna stood nearby, her face a mask of horror and guilt. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I barely pushed. I thought he was stronger. Her voice cracked, tears streaming down her face. Please, I'm so sorry. Vrix arrived, took one look at the situation, and felt his world tilting sideways. Bront's wrist hung at an unnatural angle. Luna was crying. Plynn was muttering calculations about bone repair that would take weeks. It was an accident, Foss said quickly, trying to diffuse the tension. Just an accident. Right, Bront? Bront, through a haze of pain medication, nodded weakly. Not her fault, I pushed first. But Vrix saw the way the crew looked at Luna now. Not with pity, with fear. He retreated to his quarters and began pulling up every file he could find on humans and Earth. What he read made his blood run cold. Deathworld classification wasn't given lightly. Earth had gravity that would crush a Caltharian within hours, atmospheric pressure that would rupture their delicate organs. Predators at every level of the food chain, and humans sat at the apex. Pursuit predators, endurance hunters, Creatures who could track prey for days without stopping, who could survive injuries that would kill most species, who had redundant systems for their redundant systems. And he'd invited one onto his ship, fed her, given her free run of the vessel. His communication console beeped. Incoming transmission, priority frequency. Vrix accepted it, and his screen filled with the scarred face of a Torgalian. They were a warrior species, heavily muscled, with armored plating along their skulls and shoulders. This one looked like he'd been through a war. Diplomatic vessel Harmony's promise, the Torgalian growled. I am Captain Ven of the privateer ship Broken Fang. You have something that belongs to me. We are a registered diplomatic craft, Vrix said, trying to keep his voice steady. We operate under council protection. Whatever you think we have, I assure you this is a mistake. Ven's laugh was not pleasant. No mistake, Ambassador. You picked up an escape pod 2 days ago. Inside was a human female, young, wearing a blue and white garment. I want her back. Vrix felt ice forming in his stomach. The girl is a refugee, survivor of a pirate attack. We're transporting her to safety. Is that what she told you? Ven leaned closer to the screen, and Vrix could see deep claw marks across his face. Recent ones. Let me tell you what she really is, Ambassador. That girl killed 17 of my crew. 17. She was a prisoner in our fighting arena, and she tore through trained warriors like they were nothing. When she escaped, she sabotaged our weapons systems, our life support, and our navigation. It took us 2 days to repair enough to track her pod. You're lying, Vrix said, but his voice shook. Am I? Ask her about the arena. Ask her how many fights she won. Ask her why a schoolgirl knows 73 different ways to kill with her bare hands. Ven's smile was vicious. We're boarding your ship in 10 minutes, Ambassador. Surrender the human, and we'll let your crew live. Resist, and we'll take her anyway. But you won't be around to file a complaint. The transmission cut out. Vrix sat in silence for exactly 5 seconds. Then he hit the ship-wide intercom. All crew to secure positions. We are about to be boarded by hostile forces. This is not a drill. He stood, legs shaking, and made his way to the guest quarters where Luna was being monitored. When he arrived, she was sitting on the bed, perfectly calm. The tears were gone. The frightened child act had vanished. She looked up at him with those predator's eyes and spoke in a voice that was flat, cold, and utterly devoid of the sweetness she'd displayed before. They're here, aren't they? Vrix could only nod. Luna stood, rolling her shoulders, cracking her neck. The sound made Vrix flinch. Where do you keep the tools? Tools? Vrix repeated, his voice barely a whisper. What do you need tools for? Luna looked at him, really looked at him, and the ambassador finally understood what it meant to be prey. Those forward-facing eyes weren't just for show. They were designed to track movement, to calculate distance, to lock onto targets with terrifying precision. Because, Luna said slowly, as if explaining something to a child, I don't have any weapons, and I'd rather not kill them all with my bare hands. Too messy. Your crew would probably be traumatized. Kill them? Vrix felt his legs go weak. You can't. We don't. Violence isn't the answer. We can negotiate. We can call for council support. Luna walked past him to the door, which slid open with a hiss. Ambassador Vrix, those pirates tortured me for 3 weeks. They made me fight in their arena against creatures twice my size. They fed me scraps and shocked me with pain sticks when I didn't perform well enough. They killed people in front of me to prove they were serious. Her voice dropped to something dangerous. I barely escaped by pretending to be weaker than I am, by acting broken until they got careless. Do you really think I'm going back there? But you're just a child, Vrix protested. I'm 17, Luna corrected. That's nearly adult by human standards. And I've been taking martial arts since I was 5, survival training since I was 10, and combat courses since I was 14. Earth doesn't produce soft things, Ambassador. We can't afford to. The ship shuddered. Docking clamps. The pirates were attaching. Luna's expression shifted into something focused and sharp. Last chance. Where are the tools? Maintenance locker? Engineering bay? Dr. Plynn appeared in the corridor, out of breath. Ambassador, they've breached the outer airlock. 15 armed hostiles, all Torgalian class. Luna perked up. Only 15? That's manageable. Manageable. Plynn's voice cracked. They're Torgalians. Each one masses twice what you do. They have natural armor plating. Yeah, Luna said, and smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of something that had survived on a world where everything wanted to kill it, and had learned to smile while doing the killing first. But I'm from Earth. She spotted a maintenance panel on the wall and pried it open with her fingers, the metal bending under her grip. Inside were standard ship repair implements, a plasma torch, a hydraulic wrench, a pry bar. Luna selected the wrench, testing its weight, spinning it once in her hand. This'll work. You all should hide. Lock yourselves in the medical bay. It has reinforced doors. What are you going to do? Vrix asked, though part of him already knew the answer. What humans do best, Ambassador. I'm going to survive. The Caltharian crew huddled in the medical bay, the doors sealed, watching through the security feed displays that Dr. Plynn had pulled up on every available screen. They couldn't look away, even though every instinct screamed at them to close their eyes. Luna moved through the ship's corridors like water, like shadow, like something that had no right to move that smoothly in standard gravity. The pirates were spreading out, searching room by room, weapons drawn. They were professional, coordinated, dangerous. It didn't matter. The first pirate rounded a corner near the cargo bay, and Luna dropped from an overhead maintenance shaft she'd somehow climbed into. The hydraulic wrench caught him across the temple with a sound like a hammer hitting stone. His armor plating cracked. He went down hard. 1, Luna said softly, dragging the body into a storage closet. The second and third came as a pair, covering each other's backs like trained soldiers. Luna waited until they passed her hiding spot behind a support beam, then stepped out behind them. The wrench caught the first one's knee, shattering it backward. As he fell, she grabbed his weapon, a plasma rifle far too large for her frame, and used it to block the second pirate's return strike. Then she kicked him. Just kicked him, a simple front kick to the chest. He flew backward into the wall hard enough to dent the metal plating. 3, Luna counted. In the medical bay, Foss made a sound like he was going to be sick. That's not possible. She's too small. The physics don't work. Deathworld, Plynn whispered, his eyes glued to the screen. High gravity. Her muscle density must be the force ratios. She's operating in what's essentially low gravity for her physiology. On screen, Luna had acquired a second weapon from the unconscious pirate. She checked its charge, nodded to herself, and continued moving through the ship. The next group she encountered was 4 pirates moving in formation. She didn't hesitate, didn't warn them, just opened fire from an elevated position, using the ship's architecture to her advantage. 2 went down immediately. The other 2 took cover and returned fire. But Luna was already moving, already flanking, already 3 steps ahead of where they expected her to be. She came at them from above again, dropping down with a wrench in one hand and a plasma pistol in the other. The fight lasted maybe 10 seconds. It was brutal, efficient, and utterly one-sided. 7, Luna said, breathing only slightly harder. Captain Venn had made it to the bridge, holding Vrix at gunpoint while his remaining crew searched the ship. His communication device crackled. "Captain, we've lost contact with 7 teams. Something's wrong. We're taking casualties." Venn's expression darkened. "Find the girl. Now." "Captain, I think the girl is finding us." A scream echoed through the ship's communication system. Then silence. Then another scream. Cut short. Venn's grip tightened on his weapon. "Impossible. She's one human. You're trained warriors." "Captain, whatever she was in that arena, she's worse now. She's using the ship against us, using tactics we've never seen. We need to abort. We need to—" The line went dead. Venn looked at Vrix. "What kind of monster did you pick up?" Vrix, despite the weapon pointed at his head, felt a strange surge of pride. Not a monster, a human. The bridge doors exploded inward. Luna stood in the doorway, covered in scorch marks and dents, but very much alive. She'd lost the wrench somewhere, but held 2 plasma rifles now, one in each hand. Her school uniform was torn beyond recognition. Her hair was wild. Her eyes were absolutely calm. "Hello, Venn," she said quietly. "Miss me?" Venn swung his weapon toward her, but Luna was faster. She shot the gun out of his hand, the blast precise enough to destroy the weapon without harming Vrix. Then she walked forward, slowly, deliberately. "You made me fight for entertainment. You hurt people weaker than you because you could. You thought humans were just another species you could bully." She stopped 3 feet away from him. "Do you know what we did to every other predator on Earth that challenged us for dominance?" Venn, for the first time in his violent life, felt genuine fear. "We won," Luna said simply. "Every single time. We won." She didn't kill him. That surprised everyone, especially Venn. Instead, she disabled him with efficient strikes to nerve clusters, tied him up with power cables from the damaged bridge console, and did the same to his remaining crew members who had surrendered when they saw what happened to their captain. When it was over, when 15 Torgelian pirates lay unconscious or restrained throughout the ship, Luna returned to the medical bay and knocked politely on the door. "It's safe now," she called. "You can come out." The door opened slowly. The Caltharian crew emerged, staring at her like she was something from mythology. Luna wiped sweat from her forehead and smiled sheepishly. And suddenly, she looked like a teenage girl again. Tired, a bit embarrassed, very human. "Sorry about the mess," she said. "I'll help clean up." 3 days later, at the station, Luna prepared to disembark. The pirates had been turned over to Council security. Brant's wrist was healing nicely in an accelerated cast. The ship's damage was being repaired. Ambassador Vrix walked Luna to the airlock, carrying the report he'd spent 2 days writing and rewriting. "I've updated the human contact protocols," he said. "With your permission, I've included what happened here." Luna nodded. "That's fair. People should know what we're capable of. But Ambassador, you should also tell them this." She looked up at him with those intense eyes. "Humans are dangerous, yes. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We're strong, we're persistent, we're aggressive when threatened. But we're also loyal. We protect those who show us kindness. You could have thrown me off the ship when you found out the truth. But you didn't. You helped me. And because of that, I made sure none of your crew got hurt." She held out her hand, a human gesture Vrix had learned meant friendship. He took it carefully, mindful of the strength hidden in those small fingers. "Safe travels, Luna of Earth." "Safe travels, Ambassador Vrix of Kalthar." She walked through the airlock and disappeared into the station crowds. Just another teenager heading back to finish her education. Just another human from a death world where survival wasn't guaranteed, where every day was a fight, where evolution had created something the galaxy had never seen before. Vrix returned to his ship and sent his report to the Council with a single amendment to the human contact protocols, something he typed with shaking hands, but absolute conviction. Amendment to human contact. Protocol. Approach with extreme caution. Assess threat level constantly. Do not underestimate based on size or apparent age. However, if circumstances require you to have a human ally rather than an enemy, thank whatever gods you believe in. Because there is no force in this galaxy more dangerous than a Deathworld predator fighting to protect something it cares about. And humanity, despite everything evolution taught them about survival, still somehow learned to care. That, Vrix thought, was perhaps the most terrifying thing about them.